Hello everybody and welcome to this microeconomic video on labour immobility. Now, labour immobility is essentially when a worker, a labourer, cannot take employment. They cannot accept a job. And this can be for two reasons. This can be for occupational labour immobility or geographical labour immobility, which we're going to come to in a second. So the definition of labour immobility is when a labourer or a worker cannot take employment. They cannot accept a job offer. So firstly, occupational labour immobility. And occupational labour immobility is when a worker cannot take a job because they are not trained or skilled enough to do that job. They have a limited skill set and it's caused by lack of training. So they aren't trained to do a wide variety of things, only one or two things. So therefore they cannot take jobs outside their employment field. They cannot move employment field. So, occupational labour immobility is when a labourer cannot take employment due to their limited skill set, and this is because they have experienced a lack of training, so don't have enough skills to move employment fields. Next, we have geographical labour immobility, and geographical labour immobility is when a labourer cannot take employment, they cannot take a job, because they cannot physically relocate to the new location of the job. So it says there, cannot move area to location of jobs. And due to this, because people aren't moving to the new locations of jobs, some areas will experience labour shortages if geographical labour immobility is occurring. And geographical labour immobility can be caused by a few reasons. So for example, the worker may have commitments at their current location. So for example, they may be looking after an ill family member and they can't just move away, they have to stay and carry on looking after that family member. Also, it may be an incredibly long distance and may take an incredibly long time to travel to this new location, so therefore they won't move. Also, the cost of travel may be incredibly high, so therefore this puts them off again because they have to pay huge amounts of money in order to get to the location of their new job. And one final cause of geographical labour immobility, which I have not written down here, is regional house price differences. So for example, if you live in the north of the country where houses tend to be cheaper and you get offered a job in London, then it is likely that you are geographically immobile because you cannot move because houses in London are so expensive. Even if you sell your house, you don't have enough money to buy a house in London because houses in London, the cost of buying a house or a property in London is so expensive. So, geographical labour immobility is when a labourer cannot take employment because they cannot physically relocate to the new location of the job. And because of this, some areas don't get workers moving to those areas, so therefore they experience labour shortages when there isn't enough labour. And it can be caused by commitments at the worker's current location, the cost, distance and time taken travelling, and regional house price differences. And both occupational labour immobility and geographical labour immobility will lead to market failure.